What's up, Wayne Barron here with DarkFX.net, and we are inside of Adobe Edge Animate CC, and we're doing something extremely excited, something I've been looking forward to releasing for quite a while. I just had to fix a few bugs in my actual project before I actually started the lesson, but this is what we're going to be doing. Let's go ahead and bring this over here. What we got here is that we've got some images that are changing, and every single time they change, its content changes down here, as well as the information that's up underneath these buttons. So everything changes just dynamically, it changes. So what we're going to do is that once it starts all over, this is our first one. So open it up, open up this one, and then come over here to this one, open it up, and open up this one. Okay, each one of these opens up its own website, or I'm sorry, its own YouTube video within our EdgeHero video player. And so we've got this one, which is ID1, ID2 for this one, ID3, and ID4. Now what we're doing here is that if you noticed, our child1.html page stays the same throughout all four of these links. The only thing that changes is its ID number. So ID 1, 2, 3, and 4 is the only thing that changes. And so that is called a dynamic website. And so that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be creating a dynamic website. So let's go ahead and jump into this. So let's create a new composition. And then we're going to save this one. So let's go ahead and site underscore lesson. You never want to have any spaces in your URL name, so always do site lesson like so. And then this is right here is going to be main.html. Okay, we're going to save that one. So we're going to come over here, and we're actually going to launch that site so that we can go ahead and have it up. So it's going to be site lesson / main.html. Okay, so this right here is our page, which there's nothing there yet. Okay, so what we want to do here is that we actually want to create our stage. We want to build up our stage to look like it did in the original. And the original is right here. Okay, this is the original stage setup. And so, but you can't see it, but it is there. We've got a pick holder here and a pick holder here, but that's what we're going to be doing. So let's go down to main, and okay, so let's go ahead and start out. We're going to go ahead and drag on our first pick here, and we're going to set its dimensions to the following. We're going to do 17. We're going to space down to our y-axis, and we're going to change this to 108. And then we're going to come over here to our width, and we're going to set it at 250, and then 183. Okay, so now we're just going to copy and paste this one, drag it over, and then we're going to set it to 284. Okay, so that's got both of them. This one right here is pick 1, and this one is pick 2. Okay. So next thing we want to do is that we want to add in a bottom information panel, and we're going to set it to 17, to 294, 250, and then 40. Okay, so then we're going to copy this one, paste it over to here, drop it right there, falls right into place. Now let's grab a hold of some text. We're going to add our text field here, and this is going to be info, and we're going to change it to 17, and then we're going to come over and we're going to set some information here. This is going to be 32, 306, and then we want our width to be 159 and 17. Okay, so then we're going to come over here, and we're going to add in a text field on this side as well, info, and it's automatically going to pick up on the 17, and then we're going to set this one 305, 306, and then 184 and 17. Okay, so next thing that we want to do is we want to add in our button. Let's choose this one. We're going to put it there, and then we're going to add in let me see here, hang on one second. Let's go ahead and set this to 302, and that should look right. And then we want 61 and 16, so 61 and 16. And let's go ahead and drag this over to about here. Okay, so let's add in a text right there, and this is going to be click, and we're going to set this at about 10. Let's go ahead and make it to where it's actually big enough, and let's come over to our button. We're going to change our button to a green, and then our text, we're going to leave it like so. Let's go ahead and 17, that looks good. Just go ahead and leave it like so. Let's move this up just a tiny bit. Let's try 15. Okay, that looks good. And so now let's come over here and let's add in another one right over here. And then this one right here is going to be 6116. So 6116. Let's go ahead and drag it over to here. Everything looks good. Now let's add in a text. It's going to be click. Let's drag it up. Okay, so let's go ahead and build our stacks now. We also got to rename a few things. So our this box right here is called info, so info1, and then this one right here is info2, so info2, and this right here is going to be called info right, so info right, and this one is info left. Okay, so what we want to do here is that we want to select both the text and the button. So let's grab a hold of both of these, right click on them and choose convert to symbol, and this is going to be button left. Uncheck autoplay timeline, and then let's come over here to this one, and we're going to right click on it, and we're going to choose convert to and choose button right. Uncheck auto timeline. So now let's come into here, and this is going to be our button right is going to be text 2 and button 2. Then we're going to come over onto here for our we're going to change this one to text and this one to button. Come back over and click here and remove that. Okay, now select info 1 and let's drag button left into info 1, and then grab a hold of info left and drag it in. That way we got a stacking order like so. And do the same thing with info 2, drag button right and then info right. Okay, now we're going to grab a hold of info 2, drag it to the bottom to right here, and grab a hold of info 1 to there, and that didn't quite do right. There we go. So we want pick 1 on top of info 1 and pick 2 on top of info 2. Okay, so let's go ahead and save that. So this is what it should look like. Let's go ahead and reload the page, and there we go. So now let's move this over, and we want to do our center stage and our responsive scaling. Save that. Bring this over, reload, and now it looks like this. Okay, so that's what we want. Okay, now let's create some labels. We're going to do our first one, and then it's going to be simply named first. Then we're going to come out to about 5 seconds to here. We're going to do this one as second. Then we're going to go out to about right up in here, create this label. We're going to name this one Start Over. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring this in so that we can see everything. Alright, so the first thing that we want to do is that we want to make each one of these windows, or pick windows so to speak, we want to make them hide and show. So we're going to go ahead and start off here, and we're going to choose our pick one. Okay, we're going to go out to 0.5, which will be a half a second. We're going to double click, drag this back, and then we're going to bring down the opacity, and then double click, and then whenever we run it, it's going to show it. We're going to come back over here to a quarter of a second. We're going to come over, actually we're going to drag this out, double click, drag this over, and then we're going to go to our pick 2, and we're going to drop down its opacity. Okay, so now it'll be like so. Alright, so now let's go out to the 5-second mark. We actually need to drag this over to about 6, and then we're going to come out here to 5.5, double click, oops, sorry, over here, double click, drag this out to 5.5, and then pick 1, we're going to drag it into 0, and that way it will go back into 0 opacity. Click this one, drag it out to here, choose pick 2, and then set its opacity down to 0. Okay, so now each one of these will run for about 5 seconds, and then we'll fade away. So then we're going to come over here, and we're going to copy and paste. Okay, so now both of these, move this over, both of these are going to run. So our first one and then our second one is going to run to here. So then we're going to come out. Okay, so what we want to do now is that we want to create a trigger here. Okay, and we got this code right here, so let's paste it in. Let's go ahead and get rid of our spaces between each one of them. Okay, so let's take a look at everything. We got our pick 1 and our pick 2, and what it's going to do is it's going to load some CSS code, and it's going to load in some images from our images folder for our background. So each one of these is going to have an image inside of it. Okay, so, and it's going to have it as no repeat, its position is center, and then its size is going to be 75%. If we do 100%, then it's going to blow out of this. So we need to set it 75% so that it will fit inside of our frame. Okay, and then we come over and we have our info left, which is our bottom right here, and then it's going to have information set inside of here, inside the text field. It's going to list this information and this information for here. And then we've got our button, which is right here, our button left and our button right. Each one of these has its own URL that it's going to launch, and it's going to launch this website right here, child1.html, which we're getting ready to create next. So that's basically what all this code does. And so now let's go ahead and stop that, and let's go ahead and save it. Let's go over here to second, and let's come and get the second code, and then we're going to click on actions. We're going to paste this in, and it's the same thing as before. The only difference is that right here we've got 3 and 4, so that changes. That's the only thing that changes out of everything, so everything else stays the same. Okay, so also let's take a look at something else on our button left and our button right, and see, we need to go over somewhere. Let's come over here to our button. Okay, so we got text here, so let's do this as lowercase, and then let's come back and let's do our second one here, and let's set it at lowercase as well. Okay, so Now let's come back over into here. Now, since we created a symbol, we need to access the text inside the symbol. Okay, so if we only set this, if we remove this part right here, okay, and we only run it like this, then it is going to get rid of the button to where you're only going to see the text. So having the symbol grab a hold of the text field and the text to field, then we can keep our button, and also we're grabbing a hold of just that text and we're inserting this link inside of the text instead of the button itself. And so that's basically what that means. So that takes care of this. Now let's come over to start over, and then we are going to add in the following. We're going to do sim.play 0. Okay, so, and you can also do this simply by doing play from 0. Okay, so but anyway, what we're going to do is that once we get to the end here, we're going to start back over. We're going to go from here to here to start everything back over. Now, you can put as many of these in here as you want. Okay, so what I'm doing is that I'm running 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm running 4 pictures. So whenever these load and run, it should run all 4 pictures. So let's come over here and let's grab a hold of our page and let's run it. So we should have a picture here, and the info on both of these. So let's right click and load. And I gotta fix that. Okay, so everything changes, everything does what it's supposed to do. You get the general idea. So let's go find out exactly what just happened. So we've lost our info right. Okay, got everything fixed now. We got our something happened, everything just got totally rearranged on me. But anyway, our info left goes on this side, our info right on this side. We've got our text set to 9 pixels, and then that way everything should fit in. Let's go ahead and run this. Let's bring our page back over, and then that looks a lot better. So we got episode 1, episode 2, episode 3, and After Effects and Adobe Pro. But let's go ahead and run this over here, and let's open up this one. And what it is, the reason why nothing's not doing right is that we need to change this to 3. We need to change this one right here to AE-Premiere. Save it. Run it over here. Reload it. And there we go. So now everything's working right. So anyway, you got to make sure that you get your image paths correct on here, or your image names and everything. But anyway, this takes care of our main page. Okay, and so like I said, this is our pick holder, and it's going to load a background image at 75%. And then we're going to have our info left and info right. It's going to load the information for each one of the images. So what image is here goes here. What image is here goes here. Okay, and then your button, you need to make sure that you put your ID 3 and ID 4. So whichever ID that you're going for that's going to have the information load within our child1.html page has to have the ID properly assigned to it in order for it to launch that part correctly. So now let's go ahead and let's open up a new one. We want to save this one as child1. Okay, and now we are going to build this one. Okay, with our stage here, let's go ahead and add in a rectangle, and then we're going to set the rectangle at 831. Then we're going to do 97.1, and let's change this to percent. Let's do 97.1, and then we want to do 77.5. Okay, so that right there is our container. Okay, so now the next one we want to do is that we want to add in our cube. So let's go ahead and add in a cube. Let's just put that there. We're going to give this a color a little bit darker so we can actually see it. And we want to set its dimensions at 0 and 30. And then we want to set the width at 550 and 310. Okay, so now this right here is going to be our cube. We're going to take our cube and drop it right on top of our container like so. Now we're going to create another one. Okay, so we're going to give this one a little bit darker color, and we're going to give it the following. This is going to be 6, 41, 534, and 293. Okay, now this right here is going to be our movie 1. And then we're going to drag it on top of cube, and then our last one, and we're going to have it as black, and then we're going to set it with the following dimensions. It's going to be 6, 43, 534, and 293. Okay, so this right here is our maker 1. Let's drag it on top. Oops, drag it on top of movie. Alright, so let's go ahead and save that. Now, that basically, well, we need one more thing. We need a text field. Add text field down here to the bottom. And it's going to be info. We're going to set it at about 9. Okay, so, and this right here is going to be named text copy. And it's just going to sit right on top of it. It's not going to be a child of anything. It's just going to be by itself. So let's go ahead and save that. So that takes care of all of our visual work. So the next thing that we're going to do is that we're going to jump in and we're going to do our coding. And as before, there's a lot of coding and stuff. So what I want to do is that I'm just going to copy and paste it. All of this information is going to be downloadable from our darkeffects.com website. So you got to become a member in order to download it. Also, if you are a member of Coding Source, I strongly suggest please go on to Coding Source. Okay, once you get on to Coding Source, you come over here, you log in, click on Login, and then we come down here to Account. And once you open up Account, Dark Effects right here, there's going to be a button. You simply click on that Dark Effects button, and then it will automatically insert all of your information into our Dark Effects website so that you can then go over to Dark Effects and log in. So it's as simple as that. If you are a member of Coding Source, please do it this way. That way both of these two sites work together in unity. If not, then you're going to create duplicate accounts, and there's no sense in having duplicate accounts with any of the Chorus Foxfire sites. They're all in unity. They all work together. So let's go ahead and move this over. Okay, so let's go ahead and start this. Click on here. We want to go into creation complete, and we want to copy in the following. Okay, this right here is from EdgeHero. This is their JavaScript. Okay, this right here is what's going to load in our videos. So EdgeHero gives us the ability to simply just add in video really easily. So now let's come over here and let's do composition ready. Now on a composition ready, we need to look at a few things. Okay, for the first part, we've got our query string. We have to be able to look at our query string. So basically our page is going to load like this. It's going to be page1.html $ID equals 1. Okay, this right here is the query string. Okay, and what it's doing is it's looking at our ID, and then it's saying, okay, there's something at the ID, so then we want to look at the value, and then the value is 1, 2, 3, 4 all the way to 1,000,000. Depends on what you want. Okay, so then what we do next is that we add in a if statement. Okay, what that if statement is going to do is that the if statement is going to look and say, okay, if this ID exists, then show this information. And so that's this right here. Okay, so our variable param value is going to be request query string ID. So that's going to be this ID right here. Then right here, param value equals 1. You got to have two equal signs there. 1. Okay, so if it's going to have ID 1, then we are going to show this information here. We also need to close it as well. Okay, so ID 1 we're going to have in our text copy, which is right here, is going to show the information for that video. Okay, and then our YouTube 1 link, which is going to load in here, is going to show this information right here. So that's what we need to basically get it going. So let's go ahead and save it. But we need to do one more thing before we do anything else. And what that is that we need to come over to our maker, come over here to our class, open it up, and then we need to type in the following: YouTube link underscore 1. Okay, this right here is going to tell the controller that we want to load a YouTube link into this field right here. Now, for our controls, we want to make sure that they are there so that they can be used. Okay, now we want to make it to where it auto plays. So I haven't got it to auto play yet. Usually whenever it shows, I've got to play. So anyway, click out and save it. Okay, so if we come over here and we get back over to our first one, which is going to be our number 1, right here, right click on it, open it up, it should load. There it goes. So it loads in our video right here, and then it loads in the information here, which I can actually make that a little bit bigger. Can't really read it, so let's change this to 12. Save it. Drag this over, right click, reload. Okay, that looks a lot better. So you can actually have this up top. You can have it anywhere you want, whatever. So basically what you're doing here is that you're making it so that whenever the page loads, you can have information about other videos here. You can have all sorts of stuff. You can build this up really nice into a really, really cool site. So that's basically all that you're doing. So let's go ahead and add in some more videos. Go ahead and open this up. Okay, so usually in an if statement, you say if, and then if you're going to have another video or another information that goes by another ID, you do an if else. So we got to add in an else. So, but this is the only else that we add in. So everything below this is just if statements. Okay, so it's a if else anything else. So you can have this one if at number 1 right here, and then else. You can continue to go down the line all the way to 2 million if you wanted, and it will only use this one else. So everything else below this is going to be its own if statement with no more else's. So keep that in mind. So we got if, else, if, and continued on down the line. So that right there takes care of number 2. And then we got number 3 and number 4 here. So let's go ahead and load them as well. So let's take a look at this. We got our number 1, else number 2. If number 2 shows, then we show this video and we show this information. And let's go ahead and get rid of that. Okay, so we show this video and we show this information right here. Then we show if it's number 3, then we show this information and this video. If it's number 4, then we show this information and this video. Okay, so before I save this, we come over here and we change this to number 2. Okay, it's not going to show anything because there's nothing there. Alright, so then we come over here, we save this, bring this back over, load it, and it loads that video. So then we come over here and we do number 3, loads that one, and then number 4, it loads that one. Then we come back to number 1, it loads that one. So this right here is what's called a dynamic website. This makes it to where you do not have multiple pages. Okay, and don't worry, internet search engines look at every single one of these pages. These are real pages, okay? They're not virtual pages. They are dynamic pages. Okay, this is how you create your big major websites. All your big major websites are done with dynamic pages. Your Facebooks, your YouTubes, everything is done with dynamic pages. It all reads from one main page, and it's got all the code sitting inside there. Now, could you imagine YouTube? Billions of videos, right? If it had a web page for each and every single video, then it would have billions of web pages, which would bog down the server, and they would actually need more servers than what they already have. But this is how you run a dynamic web page. It is that simple. Okay, so I do ASP Classic, and this is what I do all the time, except that I don't use JavaScript, I use Visual Basic, I use VB script. And so, but it's basically the same concept. So basically, let's run through this one more time. We got our creation complete, which loads our EdgeHero, our JavaScript from there. Then we got our composition ready. And then what we do here is that we look at our query that we create. We gotta do our request first. We gotta make it. Once we do our request for that, then we can start using our query string down here and then run it. And so basically, it's just all up to you, all up to your imagination on what you want to do and how you want to do it. So let's go down here, move this to here. I never even had that on yonder. I wonder why. But anyway, so yeah, this is Wayne Barron with Audio-Technica.net, and I hope that y'all enjoyed this dynamic created website inside of Edge Animate. It's getting to where you can do near about anything with Edge Animate, and this right here proves it. So alright, y'all have a good one, and y'all keep on rocking, and have any questions, please send them over. It's going to be a busy day today. I've got 2 more people in Edge Animate that need my assistance, so I'm getting ready to knock out some stuff for them as well. So y'all have a good one. Alright, bye bye. Oh yeah, by the way, happy Friday the 13th. Bye bye.